Hello and welcome to another one of my episodes. In today's episode, I'm going to be doing a podcast. I haven't done a podcast for the last 4 weeks. There's many reasons why. One of them I've been really struggling with fatigue, so I've been kind of slowing down what I do on YouTube a little bit. I love doing YouTube, but it doesn't pay the bills, and at the moment, that's what comes first for me. Because I don't know what's going on with the business. I've done very well of late, but that can all change on a couple of bad months. So I've been putting all of my energies and attentions into the business rather than into YouTube. I also haven't been doing it because some days the weeks have gone so fast that I've just simply forgot that it's a Friday, which is not good enough. I know that's not good enough, but it is what it is. So yeah, in today's episode, if any of you that don't know, I put out a podcast occasionally for the people who don't have the time to watch the video but want to listen to content. Hopefully it's quality content, only you can decide. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about are gold and silver coins ethical? So you'll see on the picture, I've got some Nazi coins. I've just put a gold sovereign down for variety. The picture won't be changing. One of the things that kind of frustrates me is whenever I get in a haul of silver coins like this, the ethical debate always comes out, and there's always people that will say, "Oh, you can't sell them. It's a piece of history that should be forgotten," etc. But it's an argument I've had with many people in the sense that, sure, it is a piece of history. It's not a particularly nice piece of history. However, if you were to go back through the generations across the world and you look at the atrocities and you look at which of those countries that committed atrocities sell gold and silver coins, it's very difficult to sell anything or buy anything. Most nations have blood on their hands in one form or another. Everyone was at it. I find it really funny that there are some people who say, "Oh, British mentality, colonialism, etc., etc." But the sad reality is, all the Europeans were at it. You don't hear it about the Portuguese or the Dutch or even the Germans. The Germans are at it. The Germans carved up a small section of Africa, like most of the European powerhouses. So, but you just don't hear that type of conversation. It's usually aimed at the British. But no one says, "I'm not going to buy British coins." No one says that. They're not saying, "I'm not buying them," because over the centuries, the Brits have committed many atrocities. They committed many good things as well. I'm proud to be British when I go abroad. Yes, we do have a bit of a reputation. But equally, we've done many good things for the world. And the same with all nations. You know, the French, they've done a lot of good things. The Germans have done a lot of good things. The Dutch have done wonderful things over the years. Very forward thinking as a nation. You know, they punched above their weight for a long time. So that kind of covers one part of what I wanted to discuss. If you are going to hold coins to an ethical standard, you couldn't buy anything. It's not just coins with a Nazi emblem. You couldn't buy Brits, you couldn't buy pandas, you probably could buy from Australia, but even they were arseholes to the indigenous people. It wasn't too long ago that they were stealing Aboriginal children that were more white and trying to raise them as civilized beings. You know, maybe Canada, but Canadian coins are crap. You know, they've got some okay stuff. I shouldn't rag on the Canadians, as my dad was born in Canada, but the coins are not fantastic. You couldn't go to most parts of Africa. There's atrocities all over Africa. What other coins are there? Mexico. And also, another part or point I wanted to raise was, how far back do you go? Where do you draw the line? Do you say, "I'm not buying that coin because of the atrocities that happened in that specific era," which you could put against the Nazi coins? Or do you say, "Well, actually, this country has a history, and a history of bad coinage, a history of bad actions against other people, other nations, including their own people. I'm not going to buy from them off the back that these things have happened. Do you tar these coins with the same brush because generations way before it happened? What do? You know, so you have to make the individual decision where you draw the line, whether it's going to be a period or a country, and then you have to find a consensus. The problem is there will never be a consensus. You're literally going to have people who say, well, I don't believe in buying World War II German coins because of that exact period of hardship and struggle that was imposed upon millions and millions of people by a select group of Germans, because it wasn't them all. It really wasn't. Or you can say, well, actually, they're a historical artifact. I'm pretty sure if you buy ancient coins, they had slaves. You know, I'm pretty sure they killed for fun and raped, and you know that's just what some ancient civilizations did. So do you say, I want to destroy that artifact because I don't agree with how they lived their lives? Or you just accept it is what it is, and you realise the beauty in the coin and the history that is contained within the piece of metal. So there was a third point I wish to raise. So the first point was you couldn't buy from anywhere. The second point is, where do you draw the line? And the third point is, how do you reach consensus of amongst your peers what is ethical and what isn't? To me, a gold sovereign it's the standard, and it is ethical. You know, it's not a problem. But what if people genuinely believe that Brits are still colonialists, which is rubbish, absolute rubbish? The first people who the Brits enslaved was the working class. It wasn't other people. I've never quite understood that argument. In fact, the working class are probably still enslaved. It's just one step removed via the form of minimum wage or being on the dole queue. It really, you know, that's a topic for another day. But how do you reach that consensus amongst your peers? You've got people all over the political spectrum. Some are on the left, some are on the right. Some will believe that owning said coins or artifacts is fundamentally reprehensible because it shows a willingness to kind of understand where and why these bad things happened. Personally, I just think they're artifacts. I think it's, for me, I'm very centrist. I believe that you shouldn't destroy statues or coins or buildings. You know, I think history should stand there as a monument of future generations to kind of look at it and try and learn from past mistakes. You know, and also, were they mistakes in the past in the sense that the moral consensus was probably bigger for these actions? You know, morality changes over time, as well as law. Law tends to dictate and morality tends to follow. Oh, it does happen vice versa, but not as much. Oh, that's what I learned in my law class from 10 years ago. A fourth point I wish to raise that I've just thought of, I think it's very difficult to I've lost my train of thought. It's very difficult to say what's right and wrong in terms of ethics, because everyone's on a different side. Everyone wears different shoes, you know. So for me to say this is wrong, I don't think that's right. Now, concerning gold and silver that is mined, I think that's a completely different ball game, and it also has a completely different set of issues. So I've been watching a few documentaries concerning is gold ethical, and it was talking about the big Swiss companies who they were getting gold from certain parts of the world that were run by, I'm not sure if it was slave labour or if it was a form of money laundering. Wherever you go in the chain, gold and silver, it will be grey market. It really will be, whether that be in terms of fairness of pricing or where the stock is bought from, or in some cases money laundering. You know, it's always going to happen, but that happens in every industry. There's always going to be people who take advantage of the situation. Just look at Nike. Just look at the big pharmaceutical companies who block affordable healthcare. You get what I'm saying with this. The issue with ethical gold is, yes, there are parts of the world where it's being mined very badly. It's probably being mined with mercury. You know, it's making people sick. It's probably done on a slave wage. You know, these people don't have a good standard of living and they don't really have a choice. However, how do you prove where your gold comes from? If I buy a 1 ounce gold bar from the Royal Mint, which is feasible because I just did it, how can I prove that the gold I bought is ethical? You could say, well, actually it's been sourced from XYZ, but you can't prove it because there's very few companies that buy from one mine. I know Bets do it. Bets have their own mining operation. The reason I know that's because I own shares in them. But very few companies are like that. They will source from multiple areas, and it'll be a case of where can I get it in cheapest. That's just business. You know, there's also questions of, is it, so if it isn't ethically mined and it's sourced via the recycle market, you need to ask yourself, has that gold been, is it blood gold essentially? Has it come from a conflict area and it's being recycled? Has it come from, maybe in the case of German World War II, has it come from dentures? You're never going to know. You will never know. So you have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I'm investing on good faith, and leave it at that. You know, if you choose not to own something like this, that's perfectly fine. But it doesn't give anyone the right to judge someone else off the back of owning it. So to answer the question that I posed at the start, do I believe gold and silver ethical? Yes, but no. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. It was a bit stop-start today. I've just got up. I'm not usually up at this time. You know how to support me by now. If you do like my content, you could like, comment, and subscribe. I'm fast approaching the 1,000 mark, actually. It's been a pleasure building it. I'm sorry I haven't been putting out as much content as usual. As you can understand, I'm a busy boy. So take care, guys. Bye.